Have you ever heard stories of patients, seemingly on the brink of death, suddenly experiencing a remarkable improvement, a temporary recovery, before unexpectedly passing away? This phenomenon is real and has been reported in various parts of the world. Doctors and family members bewildered witness what seems to be a miracle, a final glimmer of hope before the end. But what lies behind this mysterious phenomenon? What explains this sudden improvement, often referred to as the last ray of sunshine? Today, we will delve deeply into this phenomenon, exploring the spiritual and scientific theories that attempt to shed light on what occurs during these final moments of life. Good evening, welcome to Midnight Daily News. I'm John Blackwood, and you're watching the channel that delves into the greatest mysteries of life, death, and the unknown. In today's episode, we'll tackle something that intrigues doctors, families, and even researchers: the sudden improvement some patients experience shortly before their death. Are these final moments of clarity a kind of miracle, a parting gift? Or is there a scientific explanation for this phenomenon? Join us as we explore the different perspectives, both spiritual and scientific, that seek to understand what occurs during these enigmatic moments. Stay with us, because this phenomenon will challenge your perception of death, life, and the boundaries between them. The last ray of sunshine. The global phenomenon of sudden improvement. This phenomenon is known by different names around the world. In the West, it is referred to as the final improvement, while in the East, particularly in Japan, it is called the last ray of sunshine. This name reflects the idea that just as the sun lights up the sky one last time before twilight, a person experiences a peak of vitality before their death. During this temporary recovery, patients who are on the brink of death seem to rejuvenate, showing signs of lucidity, energy, and even engaging in communication with family members for a few hours or even a day. However, this sudden improvement is typically followed by an abrupt and unexpected death. In various cultures, this phenomenon is believed to signify that the soul is preparing to depart. In some spiritual beliefs, such as Spiritism and indigenous traditions, the last ray of sunshine is considered a farewell from one plane of existence to another, a form of closure that allows the spirit to prepare for its journey beyond. Many accounts like that of Dr. George Ritchie describe such improvements occurring in patients with advanced terminal illnesses. He recounts the story of an elderly patient who, after a period of extreme severity, sat up in bed, conversed with her family, and asked for tea, something unimaginable before then. She passed away shortly after, with no clear explanation. Cases like this are numerous, leaving doctors and relatives repeatedly confronted with this mysterious transition. The spiritual visit, the soul's farewell. In various spiritual doctrines, it is believed that these moments of clarity are in fact spiritual visits. According to these beliefs, as death approaches, the individual's spirit begins to detach from the physical body and starts its journey to the beyond. This temporary recovery would then be a spiritual phenomenon where the soul seeks to bid farewell to loved ones before moving on to a new stage of existence. In Spiritism, for example, it is believed that the physical body is nearing the end of its functions, but the soul, still conscious, takes advantage of this brief period of lucidity to say goodbyes, seek forgiveness, or reconcile with unresolved situations from the past. During this time, patients may report seeing deceased loved ones' spiritual figures, or even intense lights, as if guided by something divine. These visions are often interpreted as a sign that the transition to the other side is imminent. Additionally, some cultures claim that the soul in this state of temporary improvement is able to engage in a final reflection on its existence. For many spiritualists, it is as if the spirit is preparing the body for its final journey, offering one last opportunity for the individual to resolve unfinished matters with the living. The struggle for life and spiritual acceptance. In many religions and spiritual doctrines, the idea that the soul must reach a state of acceptance before its transition is a central concept. It is a time to make peace with oneself, with others, and with the universe. When patients experience this last ray of sunshine, it is not merely a physical energy peak. Often, it seems as though something deeper is taking place, a spiritual reconciliation with the world and with death. In 1970, the famous writer and spiritual theorist Carlos Castaneda, while studying shamanism, reported the experience of an indigenous shaman who in his final days had a conversation with his ancestors. He described a final vision of himself on a spiritual journey, bidding farewell to life while gaining full awareness of his passage. This experience was described as a state of complete acceptance, where death was understood not as a loss but as part of a natural cycle. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on this phenomenon. Now, let's continue our investigation into this mystery. The neurological theory, the temporary recovery of the body. Science offers a more pragmatic explanation for the phenomenon of sudden recovery. Doctors and neurologists suggest that what many interpret as a spiritual recovery may in fact be a failure in the brain and central nervous system. In patients with terminal illnesses such as advanced cancer, kidney failure, or multiple organ failure, the brain can continue functioning for a period of time after other vital functions have failed. According to the neurological theory, this phenomenon is a peak of residual brain activity, which occurs when blood pressure temporarily stabilizes, or blood flow is restored in small areas of the brain. This brief rebirth can give the patient a sense of well-being, mental clarity, and energy, which is quickly followed by a definitive collapse, as the system fails as a whole. In some medical observations, such as Sam Parnia's studies, this temporary recovery has been associated with a biochemical reaction that, in rare cases, can increase oxygen levels in the brain for a short period. This increase can generate a perception of physical and mental improvement, but at its core, it is merely a pause before death. The theory of brain disconnection and temporary recovery. Another aspect of the scientific explanation involves the disconnection of brain functions. When the brain is on the verge of failure, it may undergo a process of temporary disconnection, where certain areas of the brain, such as the frontal cortex, may be shut down and then briefly reactivated. This failure in recovery can result in a sense of clarity, as the body's last attempt to cheat death before the final collapse. This phenomenon can be described as a neurological anomaly, where the brain, in an effort to maintain stability, makes a final push to function, creating the illusion of a momentary recovery. However, as scientists explain, this process is unsustainable and does not lead to a true reversal of the terminal state. The placebo effect and the mind over the body. The placebo effect is a well-documented phenomenon in medicine, where patients who believe they are receiving an effective treatment, but are actually given only an inert substance, often show real improvements in their health conditions. This happens because the mind has an extraordinary power over the physical body, especially when it comes to processes like pain, recovery, and the control of physiological functions. In the case of the death recovery, the placebo effect can play a crucial role. When a terminally ill patient begins to experience signs of recovery, they may consciously or unconsciously deceive themselves about the true severity of their condition. This kind of belief, combined with the desire to resolve unresolved matters, can generate enough energy to produce a momentary improvement. This mind-body connection is key to understanding reports of sudden recovery. A person on the brink of death, upon perceiving that they are improving, may release a considerable amount of endorphins and other neurotransmitters. These compounds can provide a temporary sense of euphoria, mental clarity, and even increased physical capacity. However, this recovery is fragile, as it depends on belief in the healing process rather than an actual reversal of the illness. A classic study on the placebo effect conducted by Dr. Howard Brody revealed that terminal cancer patients who believed they were being treated with an innovative medication, when, in reality, they were only given a sugar pill, reported significant improvements in their quality of life and even their physical health. This does not mean that the disease was cured, but rather that the power of the mind has a real capacity to influence the body's state of well-being. The dawn of death, or the last surprise of the body. The concept of the dawn of death is a metaphor that describes the body's last effort to stay alive before completely succumbing. Biologically, this last surprise can be explained by a combination of physiological factors. When the body begins to fail, in the final stages of the illness, it may initiate a series of compensatory processes. The heart, for example, may attempt to pump more blood to vital organs, even though this effort is only temporary. Doctors and nurses frequently report that patients in terminal stages before passing sometimes experience a surge of alertness in the last 24 hours of life. This increase in energy can be so surprising that family members often hope the patient will actually recover. But the reality is that the body is simply using its last physiological reserves to remain active. Now that we've explored both perspectives, the supernatural and the scientific, which one do you believe is more plausible? Are we witnessing a truly spiritual phenomenon, a final visit from the soul before it departs, or are we dealing with complex physiological reactions where the body briefly tries to cheat death? Have you ever encountered a case of sudden recovery, whether in your own life or in the life of someone close to you? How do science and spirituality meet or clash in these moments? Leave your comments below, share your experiences, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so we can continue exploring these fascinating mysteries. This has been Midnight Daily News for today. I'm John Blackwood. Good night, and remember, in the end, no one can escape the mystery of death, but that doesn't mean we should stop questioning what really happens when it arrives.